Excellent. Excuse me, as soon as I start to talk, I'll just choke. But hello and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Matt Sherlock. I'm Director of Product Strategy with Library Mobile. And I'll be your moderator for today's session. Just to let you know that we are recording it so that you can watch it ad infinitum, catch up on all the sound bites and any jokes. They'll be well worth the wait. Just want to say thank you to everyone who's joining. The panel session, we'll be talking around Library Mobile and talking to Francois and Angela about their experience with Library Mobile. But as we're going through, there will be time at the end to or for me to ask questions that you submit. So please use the Q&A panel as we go through to log those questions, and I will take the opportunity at the end of the session just to ask those questions, and hopefully we can give you as much information about the product and the experiences and the benefits it gives as possible. So without further ado, what I'll do is just introduce the panel for today. Well, I'll actually get them to introduce themselves because I just can't do it justice. So I'm joined by Angela Walker from the University of Salford and Francois Reneville from Liège. Angela, do you want to just do a quick introduction for yourself and maybe a bit about the institution as well?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I'm Angela Walker, Digital Library Manager, as it says on the screen. I'm from the University of Salford. Salford, in case you haven't heard of it, is based in the northwest of England. You might be more familiar with our noisy neighbour, Manchester. So right next door to the city of Manchester. We're very much kind of an industry-led university. So we have our roots in industry. Our location was around the Industrial Revolution in the UK, and that kind of really forms the basis of the work that we do, working with our partners, industry partners, to get our students into that kind of real world kind of experience. And just quickly a little bit about the library. It's actually now the Library Careers and Enterprise Service. The Library and Careers Service joined together last summer. We have 90 FTE. We are, of course, Ex Libris customers, so we have Alma, Leganto and Primo, so kind of the library app was a really good fit for that. We have kind of completely RFID, so we're completely self-service, which we use our supplier Telepen for that. And we also have lots of laptops that we issue through Alma that are self-service that we use LapSafe for. Okay.
Excellent, Angela. I guess that's Salford is also the reason for the accent. So
is it that bad?
No, it's a lovely northern accent. So and Francois, if I could ask you to do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't have any northern accent, I'm afraid.
I can't make out your accent.
But as long as you understand me, it's good. So my name is François Reneville from the University of Liège in Belgium. Liège is a middle-sized university located between Brussels and Cologne in Germany. We have been using Alma and Primo for 7 years now. We are now Primo VE for 2 years already, and we started with Ex Libris products with Aleph and SFX in 2006. This said, we also use RapidALL and now Library Mobile from Ex Libris products. And well, we have about 100 staff members in the university library, not FTEs, of course, but about 100 people working with us.
Excellent. So we've kind of designed some questions to get some information out from the panel about their experience with Library Mobile. As I say, please do use the Q&A panel. It will be a great opportunity to get some interaction from the audience, if you like, around questions. But I guess my opener for 10, as we say here, is we can't ignore the elephant in the room, or has been in the room. I think it's leaving the room, maybe. I don't know. I hear different things about COVID and all the variants and such like. But I guess my first question to the panel here is, what changes have you seen post-pandemic, if we can say post-pandemic, to the way you and your patrons experience the library and the services you provide? So, Angela, we'll go to you first, and then to Francois.
Okay. So I think the changes that we made during the pandemic are kind of driving what we're doing and what we're seeing now, kind of some of the changes to the services. So we introduced a lot of change during the pandemic. I think like a lot of universities, we had to introduce at speed things like seat bookings, which have been really well received. And so what we've seen is that we've kind of brought those into this post-pandemic library life, and that's kind of been really popular. Actually, we've seen, you know, a really heavy demand on those seats, and actually that's something that the app's been really helpful in kind of facilitating and allowing our users to make those bookings before they come into the building, so they feel still that secure. You know, I think there's, although we're coming out of it, there's still that little bit of anxiety for some people, so they know they've got somewhere to go and they've got somewhere to sit. I think there's like something like 83,000 hours booked via the app, kind of via for the LibCal this academic year. So that's been kind of really positive. We're seeing people using their own devices a lot more as well. So kind of moving away from the desktop PCs and bringing their own devices in, their own mobiles, their own tablets, their own laptops. And that's actually driven us to introduce more laptops in the library as well, so we've got more kind of flexibility. I think again during the pandemic, we have a very diverse student base, and we have a lot of students who may be from lower socioeconomic groups, and so we had to provide them with facilities to access the resources and the online learning via devices. So we really ramped up the number of laptops that we held in the library. We've got 700 laptops. And we kind of increase those loan periods, so people are taking them out for like up to 4 weeks, and things like that. Also, kind of a big change for the library staff is like most libraries, we've not gone back fully to the office. So we have staff working in agile ways. I think I only kind of come in the office 1 or 2 days a week. And that's allowed us to kind of change the spaces and give that over more to students. But again, that brought a challenge because we've reduced all our staff office space. So again, we've used the app to create a role actually on the app for library staff. And when the library staff log in, they've got their own dedicated tile on there so that they can actually book their own agile staff space. And that's been really positive. That was something that was driven by the staff when they saw the app and said, saw the student booking, said, can we have one of those as well for our staff? So that was kind of something that we brought in. We're seeing kind of more people wanting to have more conversations and be directed to services. And I think probably like most universities as well, that kind of move to electronic access generally, and people wanting to access materials at times that are convenient to them. Our demographic, as I've mentioned, is kind of quite diverse. We have a lot of commuter students, people wanting to access resources at kind of times that are convenient around caring responsibilities, around part-time jobs and things like that. So that's kind of things that we're seeing to kind of materialize and change.
It's really nice to hear, you know, some of those the things that we had to do as part of COVID actually be beneficial and going on into longer term service. So Francois, just over to you, same question.
Yeah, I'll make it short because I think it's useless to repeat what Angela said. I agree with everything she said. One of the bigger change maybe is due to the fact that during the pandemic, we were probably, I mean, the library was probably one of the few university services that continued to work and serve patrons and the whole community. Many departments and services were closed during the lockdown, but not the library. Of course, physically people couldn't reach the library. Library was closed, but we continued to deliver books, reserved books on hold shelves, and we provided also thousands of digitization requests in a couple of weeks. So there was a huge need for library services on not physical but remote services. and I think it's going to increase with the time. And I think also that based on that, for some services, patrons expect the library can work 24 hours and a day and 7 days a week. I mean, not the people, but the services. It should continue to work always, always. And I think it's not going to change in the short term.
Excellent. No, and I think that mirrors very much what Angela was saying as well. So moving on to next question, really kind of following on from that, I wonder if in the context of that, and maybe just in the broader context of where you want to take your library services, what were the opportunities and the challenges you were looking to address with the implementation of Library Mobile, and creating this mobile first experience for your patrons? And to be fair, I'll go to Francois first on this one, and then over to Angela.
Okay. In our case in Liège, the library website and Primo are strongly integrated. So we use the same CSS, or almost the same, for both solutions platforms. So we give the impression to the users we have a single access point for library. It's like, well, Primo, catalog, and website are just one entity, which is of course not true. We know that, but patrons don't know that. And what we wanted to do with the Library Mobile is to offer a new single access point, but focusing on the mobile devices, not only laptops and so on, but really focuses on mobile devices. And we thought that Library Mobile was an opportunity for us. We had also in mind to launch a new project with sending SMS from Alma, which we have never started so far. And when we noticed that there were some possibilities to send some push notifications to patrons from the app, or with the app from Alma, or also from the app itself, from the notification center itself. So we thought it would be a nice occasion for us to go further with that project. The good thing in our case, in Liège, I mean, is that we have no institutional app in use. There is none at the moment. So it was the first app we could provide within the university, with many services. There are some more apps, but not on focusing on very specific services. And this was the big new app for the library, but also for a major department, university department, the library. And so there was with that no risk on conflict or rivalry. How do you say that? Yeah, within an existing app or with another department. So it was a good opportunity for us. And we saw also the app, Library Mobile, as an opportunity to involve other university services, like the mobility service, mobility department, because they have a list of they have many information about mobility on the campuses. We also had some close contacts with the students associations. So to gather feedback, we asked them, what do you want to provide? What do you want us to develop as services on Library Mobile and so on? So it was an occasion for us to have some close contacts with existing services and to have some new collaboration.
And so it sounds like actually the deployment of the mobile app has helped you to reach out to other areas and other stakeholders within the institution to deliver services. That's really positive. Okay, so Angela, same question to you.
And yeah, very similar experience actually to Francois. So that whole single access point was key. I think that, especially that personalization, whereby somebody could log into something and you're kind of removing the barriers. They're already authenticated. They can see their library account. They can see their reading list, and it's all kind of there in a single interface, and it's kind of they get that whole experience. Similar experience with the SMS. Actually, we had SMS in place. We're using SMS via Blackboard, and then they unfortunately kind of got rid of that functionality. So we were looking at how we could connect with our users, sending those push notifications through to them, because we had already had kind of quite a well-established process for communicating with them via SMS, and we needed something to replicate it. So that kind of that SMS functionality was really key for us. I think the 24/7 thing that you mentioned in the last point, in the last question as well, Francois, our students come in and they've got really high expectations. They expect that there will be an app. They use it. They use apps in every aspect of their life. You know, all your activities are on there. And so they come in and they're expecting an app. And similar, again, to Liège, we didn't have an institutional app. We had looked at the Campus M app many years ago when Ex Libris acquired it, but because it wasn't library focused, we weren't in a position to move forward with it. And I think one thing that absolutely as well was really important for us is that the app was really simple for us to implement, because we do not have that IT resource. You know, we really struggle to get IT resource in the university. They've got lots of kind of big projects. And the fact that we could manage this ourselves, we didn't need to bring in anybody to support us. And also going forward, it's that being able to update it, being able to make changes, be quite reactive if we need to, put new content on there without lots of kind of development resource. We don't have developers in-house, we're a very small team. So it was really important that we could manage that internally. We've also had the same experience as Liège in kind of going out and working with other teams outside the library. One big project for us actually was bringing in the online registers, because there were something we introduced in the university last year, and we found out that students were really struggling to access it. They were having to go to a web page, log in. The fact it uses the same authentication system as the app, it really streamlined the process. It meant that students weren't having to go to another service, find the authentication, but just bringing those kind of central services together. And I know it's being watched actually by the university. I think they're keen to kind of see how it gets deployed and what the usage is. So yeah, I think it's lots of kind of positive things that we will, things that we're looking to change and bring positive things in.
Yeah, thanks, Angela. And I love that story about, the services being driven by the user. They've got a problem. Let's create a solution to just simplify and make it easier for them. That's great. So, having heard a bit about the whys and what you hope to achieve, I guess the next question, I'm going to go for a three in one. Here we go. So I guess it's just asking for your feedback in terms of how your deployment went. Were there any lessons learned, both from a deployment, maybe getting it into your users' hands, marketing the app? Were there lessons learned from that deployment that you could maybe share with the audience? And then I'd really love to hear if you've got any, what were the reaction from the patrons? Is there any stories, anecdotes, numbers? How have your patronage, taken advantage of this offering? So I think, Angela, it's your turn to go first, isn't it?
My turn, yes.
There you go. So, there you go.
So the technical deployment itself was very quick, and I've mentioned that we don't have any IT resource, so it was important that we weren't having to commit lots of time. So we actually kind of went live, I think, in November. We'd started the kickoff meeting in August. Obviously, the support team at Ex Libris did all their kind of integrations with Primo and Leganto for us. That was great. And then I think the biggest thing from our side and the challenge, we've kind of talked about it in the last question, was making sure that it was really student focused and it was going to solve some of those problems, that we were making it useful, that it wasn't just going to, we weren't just putting content on for the sake of it, that it actually had to have a purpose and it was going to be beneficial to the students. So did quite a bit of work kind of engaging with our customer service team, looking at our inquiries, what were our top inquiries, looking at our website, what were the hits, what were people navigating to kind of really focus in on the tiles that we were going to build and kind of the links to content. Even then, we didn't get it completely right, so we kind of put a tile on for like social media. We saw it wasn't being used, so we removed it. We're moving tiles around, giving them different prominence. So it's something that we're kind of continuing to look at. We set ourselves a target. We really didn't know how it was going to take off. We set ourselves a target to get 2,000 user sign-ups. So we have about 23,000 students. So we were going for about 10% of our kind of population. So we'd aim for 2,000 user sign-ups from November till February, and we exceeded that, which was like really positive. And even now, as we're kind of getting to the end of the academic year, it's slowing down, but we're well over 3,000 sign-ups. So for us, that's been really, really good. And we're seeing consistently solid kind of usage each month. We're seeing about 1,000 individual active users each month. And I think kind of going forward, we miss that key induction period when our students start. So our students start in September, we'd miss that. So we need to really be on the ball this year and get in there. Obviously it's launched, and make sure that all our kind of marketing activities are in place. Our marketing, and it was absolutely critical, the engagement to getting this kind of off the ground and kind of getting those numbers up. We actually worked with somebody from Ex Libris in the marketing team to get some really good ideas. So things that we did, we had a word search where people could kind of win Nando's vouchers. So we hid kind of letters in the tiles, and then we had a link to Microsoft Forms. And we had over 100 entries, which is good for a library competition. We were really pleased with that. We had money off vouchers at the kind of the library cafe. So when students went and showed the app at the library cafe, they got some kind of money off hot drinks. We had a competition to win a Kindle, which was tell us what you think about the app, and we had people submitting videos and blogs and even a poem about the app, telling us about their experiences with the app, which was really good fun. What was really critical was getting our frontline staff engaged in that and kind of really supporting the students day to day. When the students are coming in, that if they've got a question, we're saying, well, actually, you can use the app for this, and get them to download it. So we had posters everywhere. We flooded the social media channels. We had QR codes everywhere. So, our customer service team was saying, download the app, it'll help you. Same with our academic support teams. They were going out and they were promoting it. They had slides and videos in part of their inductions telling people about the app and how it could help them. What was really good as well, when we did flood the social media channels, we were getting lots of academics retweeting it and saying this is fantastic and promoting it to our students. So that kind of really gained traction. And with the analytics in the app, we could see every time we'd had some kind of form of engagement, we could see the sign-ups increasing. So every time there was a student news, sometimes a student newsletter, we could see a spike in registrations and a spike in usage. The thing about the registrations as well was a real hook, because that was something that all students were having to do. They're having to go onto their online registers. So again, it was something to support them and help them. Kind of things that we've seen and some of the feedback. It's great in the library. We're seeing students just, using the app to navigate the shelves. They open Primo. We have Stack Map where they can kind of navigate around. So you see them wandering around with the app, finding the books on the shelves. We've had people saying, oh, it's fantastic because when I'm coming into uni in the morning, I'm on the train, I can check there's a space and I can book it. So again, that's a really positive use. Yeah, just actually really positive feedback from students and staff that we've got.
I've got visions of Salford students walking into Stacks and such like because they're, staring at their mobile device. And you'll have to share the poem. So, I mean, that's amazing. That's an accolade, if nothing else, for the mobile. Thanks, Angela. Same question, Francois, to yourself, or 3-in-1 question, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's quite similar to Angela's story. Implementation project was quite easy, not hard. If you compare to Alma or Primo, it's very easy. It's not long at all. I think the most time-consuming part for me was to do everything for the maps and configuration of all locations, because it takes time to put in the for the map tile all locations you want to promote and show within the map. This said, we provided at the early beginning of the project the configuration form provided by Ex Libris, so we completed it, we sent it back. So a big part of the job was done when we received already the app ready. We just had to fine tune, to finalize, and for some aspects we changed a lot because we when we realized what was provided to us, we understood we hadn't made maybe the best choices for some pages. So we revised completely some pages to put some new content in it or a new layout. Well, it's part of the project. I think we made the right choice there by reviewing what we initially provided to Exlibris for configuration. For the go live, so we had the kickoff in early October, and we had the go live. Oh, it was a soft go live in 3 steps. So first with Exlibris, I would say in end of December, project was almost over, but we communicated to the patrons only in February, at the beginning of February, when the semester started. We didn't want to make promotion during the holiday or so on. So we had a soft go live in 3 steps. First in December with the beta testers from the library and some external users from the community, very few, and no explanation, just wide and access to the app, so that, well, we wanted to have feedback from them if they managed to understand what's going on there. It was the purpose. And then we had the second go live with all library members in January, because we wanted them to be ready in case patrons have questions. And finally, the last step in February with all patrons and a big communication around that. I think one thing that was a bit challenging maybe for the project is the documentation. Well, it's detailed, that's not a problem, but it's quite small. I think it's more technical than Alma and for Primo. So if you are not an IT guy, some aspects in the documentation are a bit more complicated, and also some pages of the documentation are also for Campusam. So the terms used, the context, sometimes it's not only focused on library mobile. There are also some paragraphs focusing on Campusam. So it's a bit more technical, but well, I've survived and I've done it on my own. So it's not, it's not a big problem. So far we have about 2,000 people who have registered, and we have an average regular usage of 600, 700 people every month. So I have no idea if it's good or bad. So I think we have to see that on the long term during the busy months during the academic year. So it's not a busy month now in June, of course. We have to wait until after end of September or beginning of October to have some full usage of the app. So far we have received little feedback from patrons. Well, positive feedbacks for some aspects. That's it. But I think we should have run some more quick polls. We did some, so I like it because it's a nice approach to have some contacts with patrons and asking them some interesting questions. I hope they're interesting. We made one with the VPN. If they use the VPN, because we have no proxy in Liège, we use the VPN. We asked them if they know or use the VPN on their mobile device, and okay, it was a way for us to inform them that VPN is also possible on mobile device and can be run from the app. So from the app, from Library Mobile, patrons can run the VPN and make it working, and so they can access the electronic documentations directly from the app. I think that from September we have to do again and more marketing. So to get, because there are new students every year, so it's a never-ending task. It must be repeated very regularly, as Angela said, with the QA codes and promotion, and must be repeated. We also decided in our Alma letters now, the new layout of the Alma letters that will be deployed in July. We will have a link to the Library Mobile URL to download the app. So in each letter, patron-facing letter, we will have that link to invite people to download the app if they haven't yet. And a big issue I was not aware of when we went live, it's that we got little support from the library members. So they really make a little promotion of the app, even if we try to engage them in that. But I know that at Circulation Desk, they don't promote the app. So that is something we have to work on, because it can be helpful to them to have patrons more independent with the app. It could even be more more independent if people could have a scanning items with the app just for borrowing. It's not the case at the moment, but maybe it will be the case possible later with a new feature. But there's also some RFID issues there. It's not only scan out with Alma. It's just also a security problem there. But we will have to work on more promotion from library members themselves.
Brilliant, thank you. And yeah, really interesting number of you know, that you've got that kind of core audience. Both of you seem to have this core audience using the app. You know, even though you had some, you know, relatively soft launch, or the timing wasn't, you know, right at the peak to get people on, you built a cadre of you know, of users that keep coming back. That's really good. And one thing I'd say is we're still learning as well, just in terms of what support and how we document and how we communicate, you know, how the app is developed as well. So it's a learning process for everyone involved. And, you know, we're certainly open to suggestions and all the rest of it. So final question, at least from the panel set of questions. Don't forget, there's a Q&A panel within WebEx. So if you've got any questions for Francois, Angela, or for me, please, you know, start adding those in now, so we can pick those up. But I want to now maybe focus on, you know, we've talked about maybe the why and how in the current state Library Mobile is working for you. I wonder if you can talk a little more about future plans and maybe your hopes and ambitions for the app, based on what customers, patrons have said, based on what you'd like from the app, and all the rest of it. So I think, who am I with? Francois, you first. I think you're first. Yeah. So over to Francois. What are your future plans?
Yeah. I think we would like to simplify some aspects within the app. So we have, for example, different tiles for agendas with RSS feed provided by LibCal, and we have a RSS feed for training sessions given by the library, and another one for events organized by the library. And we would like to have them both merged, so we can provide a single agenda with more content in it and not access to the information through two different tiles. So this is something we would like to have live for September. But there is a small issue there, so I have opened a case. Yeah. And anyway, more generally speaking, if there is any possibility for more integration with the existing, this is something I'm very interested in. So what we didn't want to do with the project is to replicate information that already exists somewhere on the library website. So every time it's possible, we try to reuse the existing, and the more re-existing and integration possibilities there are, the better it is. So if we, as I said, we use LibCal events, LibCal spaces for bookings. So if the system can improve there and provide more integration, it's even better for the users. So they said we can also imagine adding some new tiles for better and new services, and this is why we plan to run a UX survey next autumn in collaboration with the French university that also uses Library Mobile in Dunkerque, in north of France. So they're also a Library Mobile user, and we would like to run that survey together, so we can have a broader perimeter of users. Yeah, these are our plans for the near future.
Brilliant, Francois. Thank you for that. And just to say to everyone listening, Campus M, like other Ex Libris projects, Campus M Library Mobile, like other Ex Libris products, is you know, developed agilely. So, you know, we're always open and listening to feedback in order to, you know, develop new functionalities. And I can let you know that the SpringShare platform is on our hit list in terms of integrations as well. So you will start to see those kind of integration potential coming through over the coming months. Excellent. So Angela, over to you. What does the future hold?
Well, very excitingly, I know Francois mentioned the self-service. That's something that we're currently looking at with Matt's team and also with our self-service provider. And I think we're hoping that there will be something to test sometime near the start of the academic year. So that's kind of a really exciting development. If we can get, you know, the app to actually issue resources for us, I think that'll be a really big draw for students, actually. Francois mentioned events. We have an issue. I wish we were using LibCal because that does actually work. We're using another product called Career Hub, and that's not down to the app. That was an issue. It's to do with the data coming out of Career Hub, and that's something we need to look at, whether we continue using that solution or whether we migrate to something else. So I think we need to, at the moment, we're linking to the events on our web pages rather than actually getting the RSS feed because of some of the issues that we were facing with the, and it's to do with the way that the data comes out, the format it comes out in. So that's something that we need to look at. I mentioned earlier on that we have lots of laptops. We have all over the university that we manage. And we started to look at whether we could show the availability of the laptops, you know, which you know, devices were available, so students would be able to know which building to go to. Again, I think that we need to kind of work with the other software supplier on that to see what we can get in. Other more local things. I know I mentioned about people trying to find items in the library with the app, but wayfinding is actually a real challenge at Salford. And we're looking at what we can do to improve wayfinding, possibly by embedding some videos in there, maybe doing some kind of QR code. And the other thing that we've been discussing is the use of profiles. So we currently have 2 profiles in the app. We have our main profile, and we actually have an accessible view as well, which people can move between. We're looking at the possibility of a guest profile, which we have set up, that maybe we could introduce for open days, kind of ad hoc events, to showcase the library services. That doesn't need that authentication, but people can actually see what we have to offer. So these are kind of things we're looking at over the next 12 months.
Yeah, thanks, Angela. And we're super excited to solve this challenge around, you know, checking out resources and interacting with RFID tags and such like. And I'm hoping that, you know, we'll have more news on that and the progress we're making with a number of vendors and suppliers about how we can tackle that. So, you know, the idea of being able to search, discover, consume, and exit the library all from your mobile device is something that we're keen on working with you and your suppliers to deliver. So those were the questions from the panel. I'm just checking to see if we've got any questions. So now is a good time to add your questions for Angela and Francois in terms of their experiences, or you know, the value that they've seen or the challenges they've had with deploying Library Mobile. So we've got a question here. Do you think that the app supports you and the library to be more visible on campus? You know, is it allowing you to project the library and the services and the mission outside of your ordinary context, I guess? Who wants to have a go at that one? This is going to be free for all, so if you want to answer it, let me know. Don't be shy.
I don't mind, I'll go. Then Francois, you could pitch in after. I don't want to deny you of the opportunity to answer. I think we definitely have more opportunities next year. I think we missed that key engagement period in September. But I think, you know, we both said that it's given us the opportunity to move beyond the library and engage with other services. actually that's something we want to, that's another thing we want to do, is actually work with our Students' Union more next year. We get some of their activities in there, so really get into where the students are. I think it's really key that we don't bombard them. I'm really conscious we're sending quite a lot of notifications from various systems at the moment, and I probably need to maybe rethink that, so that we're sending out communications that are relevant and that people don't just turn them off. So that again, we want to be the library in people's pockets, but you know, if it gets too much, they'll just not engage. So I think that'll be a key thing for us to look at as well. But I think, you know, we've had those online registers, so again, we put that on there as a hook, and then people can kind of engage with the library material. I mean, obviously we've not got any kind of images of the library mobile at the moment, but you know, there's lots of banners on there, loads of things to make it look really attractive. That definitely does work in kind of marketing the work of the library. Francois, do you want to pitch in?
Yeah, I think what I like in the app is well, I mentioned it earlier. It's a map and plans tile. And I think it's a powerful tool for patrons to, especially for students to, well, to discover a bit more the campus and the library, some library branches and study rooms and so on, because we promote the different branches. We have 15 branches, library branches in Liège. Some of them are very big and others are much smaller, but there is place for everyone there. And we noticed that usually patrons are used to go always to the same library branch, and they may not be aware that there is a closer one, or there's another one maybe smaller but with full of empty places there. And well, I think that with the app, it's a good opportunity for students to discover a bit more the campus and where library branches are located, and thinking, oh, maybe I can go to this one, or I can go to this study room.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. So actually, it's good to see questions coming through here. So let's see. Oh yeah, this one's I like this one, and I think it maybe applies to some of the things that you've both hinted to. What's the feedback from, you know, the librarians and, you know, the staff within the library to the app? And Francois, you mentioned that some of the staff weren't necessarily talking about it. Angela, you said they were openly talking about it. I'm really interested maybe into exploring that dynamic between the app and the staff within the library.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say they are against the app, but some of them are not interested, not specifically by the app, but they are not interested by new technologies or smartphones and such kind of services. So it's not a negative feedback related to the app itself. It's just more old-fashioned.
Yeah.
So I think I still have work there in trying to convince them to, well, not necessarily to accept and to use it, but at least to promote it and to explain patrons it exists and they can use it.
Angela?
Yeah, I think it's been, everybody seems to have been very, very positive about it. We've got some real champions, like real champions. You know, I've got a member of the customer service team who's fantastic. And every time I see her, she approaches me to give me more feedback and tell me what students want to see. And that's just amazing. And, you know, I think because she's a champion, she kind of gets other people involved as well. So it's kind of a bit infectious and people are really engaged with it. When we did the project team, I was really conscious about getting people from every area of the service involved. And I mentioned that we've joined with the careers team as well. So they came on board. We were keen to make sure we were engaging with them as well. And I think it was interesting when we launched it, and then we started getting people, I mentioned the seat booking. Well, can we have that? You know, for library staff, can we have it? So actually seeing the usage, and it got at one point, I was like, especially kind of during the holiday periods, that was like the highest used tile, the kind of library staff booking their spaces. And I think they've really enjoyed it, and they really engage with it. So I think, yeah, it's been very positive from with the staff here.
No, that's really interesting, and I've seen another question here that's kind of linked to that, just in terms of, have you seen faculty, staff, and researchers, using the app as well? Is it very much, students that have been using it?
I mean, we've seen academic staff sign up to it. Obviously, I can't see it's anonymised the usage, but the things that we saw on Twitter was like that this is amazing. They were promoting it to students. It was interesting right at the outset as well. When our academic support librarians went out and spoke to academics, we had a really keen academic. He actually ran a focus group on it with his students. He was he was really keen, and again came back with really positive feedback. I think there's been an appetite for an app in the university for a long time. So when, like Francois said right at the outset, this is kind of the big app in the university at the moment. So everybody's quite engaged with it.
Mm. Francois, anything?
Yeah, in our case, about 10% of all registered people are faculty member or staff member from the university. So the majority of users are students, and this is what we expected. So we were wondering at the beginning of the project whether we would focus on students only in the communication and in the tiles, in the services within the app, or if we wanted to have it a bit for faculty member and students, or third option, if we wanted to have two profiles, one for students and one for academic members. And we decided to keep it simple. We provided just one, I would say, profile for any kind of library users, but the majority of the communication is focusing on students, because we wanted to have also something which is easy to manage on the long term. If we start providing two different profiles, one for students and one for faculty members, then both profiles have to go live and to develop and change regularly. It's more work for the library also. So we wanted to keep things light for us. And I say one profile, it's not quite correct because we have launched two profiles based on the language. So we didn't want to offer only a library mobile in French. We thought it would be very important to provide also an English profile. So we have the same content, but in two different languages. We just have to translate from a language to another. And of course, in the usage, 95% is the French profile which is used. But we couldn't imagine launching Library Mobile only in French, even if the majority of our faculty members and students are French speaking, of course. We wanted to provide both, like we do in Primo. There are two interfaces, one in French and one in English. We wanted to do the same with the Library Mobile, just to be coherent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I understand completely. So we've probably got time for two more questions. So okay, so this one's interesting. So just thinking about your implementation, what kind of team members did you need as part of that implementation in order to get it to work? What was the composition, if you like, or the key members of that team in order to get it implemented and up and running?
Yeah. Shall I start, Angela? Okay. We had a small project team for us in Liège. So beside myself, there was also the person in charge of patron services. Well, she provided feedback. She had some ideas, but she didn't configure the system. I had also some contacts with an IT just for some feedback concerning the authentication, because this is something that I cannot do. But it just provided the necessary information for Exibris for the configuration, and that's all. After this, so it's maybe 1 hour time for him, and then I could do everything within the configuration manager. And we had also the big boss involved. So in case there would be some big decision to take, I wanted to be sure he would be on my side and make a final decision. So I was sure I could go to that through the good direction. And we had also my colleague in charge of communication that was also involved. and he also provided feedback. But basically, it's not necessarily a project that should involve intensively 5 or 6 people. I think one person can do the majority of the job as long as that person is in contact with the good persons within the team. And
Yeah,
then,
so
as I said, we have the beta testers, but it's a bit later in the project.
yeah,
We didn't want to ask our colleagues, what do you want as the services? Because we were a bit afraid of the feedback we would have received.
yeah, so a nice lean team by the sounds of it, focused. Angela?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, that's what, I'd mentioned earlier, it was quite an easy implementation because we just don't have the resource. So in my team, I have somebody who's responsible for the website, and he did a lot of the work around the design. So kind of getting all the colours and the tiles looking pretty. Myself and some colleagues in my team did some of the kind of just general configuration. And again, very simple, just kind of setting links up and things like that. There's nothing kind of too technical in there really. We had somebody from our communications, the library communications team involved, so she did a lot of the marketing, making sure we had the engagement plan in place. And then, so that was kind of the technical implementation side. Around the authentication, similar to Francois, we just basically sent some information to IT. We use Open Athens, so I just asked them to set it up and kind of add the metadata, and that was very simple. And then we had a cross team who they were just coming in talking about what we needed to include, the feedback I mentioned earlier on about we were getting data about what the inquiries were, what were our top services, so kind of bringing that evidence base in to decide what those kind of tiles were going to be, what we were going to present in the app.
Excellent. Okay, so you'll be pleased to know, panel, this is the final question. However, I might give a little slant to this question, so I might get 2 for 1 in this question as well. So the question that I've got here is, what's the most popular service your patrons are using? But I'm going to add a little more onto that and ask, what's your favorite feature or function within the app as well? So not just your patrons, what's your favorite feature or function within the app? So yes, over who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Can I be really cheeky and say that we've got 3 top tiles, right? So it varies month to month depending upon different activity. So we have the check-in tile, which is the kind of the online registers. We have the seat booking, and then we have Primo library account, and those are the kind of the top 3 consistently. My favourite, it goes back to something Francois said, I love the maps actually. I love what you can do with the maps. I love the fact you can put kind of little actions in them. So where we've got kind of the service desk here at kind of Clifford Whitworth Library, and then we can open the chats. So you can do loads of really cool things with it. And I think there's a lot there that we can do with the maps going forward.
Brilliant, thank you. And Francois?
Yeah, it's also my favorite. Not only because I spent hours in providing the content for it.
There's a lot of there.
Because when you start adding some, well, it could be bus stops. We provided, for example, all bike racks on the campus. So this is the job that I haven't looked for geolocalization codes myself. So the information was provided by the mobility department, but I just had to add them manually in the system or by loading them. But I needed to check everything, because if the rack is not located at the good place, it might be a bit problematic. It's my favorite. It's the maps tile, and the most used tiles. These are the My Account, the Primo My Account. We have 2 Primo tiles, one for search, catalog search, and one for the My Account. So the My Account is the most used, with Libcal tile for space booking, seats booking, because we provide seats booking during the exam periods. And these are the most widely used tiles.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for the time. Loads of really great questions as well. So thanks to the audience who participated. As I say, we've recorded the session. Once we end the session, there'll be a short survey to follow. We'd love you and really appreciate your feedback on the session. It helps us shape future sessions as well. One thing I'd also say is that we're looking to introduce a trial app going forward. Once that's available, we'll let you guys know that you can download and have a look and experience Library Mobile for yourselves as well. So once again, thank you so much, Francois and Angela, for your frank and honest opinions and feedback. And everyone else, thank you for your time and the efforts. So thank you.